A historic season is upon us. As this fall, the autumn wind hits the desert. The home of the Las Vegas Raiders. The architects have been hard at work.
We're gonna pull the trigger and make you a Las Vegas Raider.
Building speed, power, and toughness.
I'm trying to go win this Super Bowl so we can hang one of these banners.
And finally, those elements come together. A new era of the silver and black.
And the throw, and he's got him. Waller, touchdown. Jacobs tackles with an ace. From behind.
Let the piloting of opponents begin.
Max, he runs big. He's made by Hunter Renfro.
Just win, baby.
Welcome to Talk of the Nation. I'm JT the Brick, along with the great former Pro Bowl tackle, Lincoln Kennedy, as we come to you from Silver and Black Productions. Lincoln, great to see you, and how about this studio?
Oh, it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, just seeing the view of the strip out in the backside, it's great, man. Great to be here, JT.
I'm thrilled to work with you. We're thrilled with this new format where every topic is on the table. We'll be talking about everything this year as we preview the upcoming opponent, and this time it's the Carolina Panthers. And Lincoln, as we begin, this is a big spot for the Silver and Black. They don't open up at home. That's Monday Night Football, a week from Monday, against New Orleans, but an opportunity to get a win on the road against the Carolina Panthers and Christian McCaffrey.
Well, it's a big one for the Raiders, and JT, I will say this, that when you have so many intangibles unknown, new coach, new offensive coordinator, you're not really sure what you're going to be looking forward to. There are times where coaches just want to keep it simple. I expect the Raiders to really run the ball and try to pound the run with Jacobs against this defense.
Yeah, this is a really important spot overall for the Raiders to get out of the gate quickly. And I want to begin by talking about Vegas, because I've lived here for a long time and you're coming here more often. Yeah. This is such an important moment for the fans of the Raider Nation, not only the global fans, but especially the Vegas fans. Mark Davis got this project done on time, this beautiful facility and the new stadium.
Yeah, and it's such a big transition going to a new city, new opportunity, and most of these young guys don't really know anything about Vegas, so it's a big step for the team. That's why it's really important to get off to a good start, because eventually when fans are let back into Allegiant Stadium, it is going to be a great home field advantage.
Well, I think another really important topic to get to is the NFL and COVID and what's happening. And Lincoln, this is a dress rehearsal, but it counts now. Usually there's preseason football and you get a couple of trips under your belt to travel and see what it's like. Now John Gruden has been talking about crushing the virus. An unbelievable job by Coach and the message he's sending. But now they got to get this team on the plane, on the road, and go through this stay in the road hotel. There's a lot here.
Well, there's a lot there, and you also talk about the asking young men to do what's expected of them and be mature. Don't stay out, don't go around crowds, do everything to keep themselves virus-free. Look, the NFL overall, the testings have been down, the positive tests have been down, which is a great sign for the NFL, but now it's time to put it all to work and see how it's going to come out.
Well, we know there'll be no fans at Allegiant. There's going to be no fans out in Charlotte. How will that affect it? You played at the highest level in the NFL. Can you get your head wrapped around what it's going to be like for the players to come out of the tunnel? No fans there at all, first time for these players. That's got to be a big challenge.
That's going to be the biggest question mark for me. The fact is, well, now fans, the players really rely a lot on that energy. And now the players, the coaches of each team are going to have to be the biggest cheerleaders, because without it being there, it seems like a glorified practice, a glorified scrimmage when you're going against another team. And it's hard to get that energy up. But, the Raiders haven't had good luck on the East Coast. That's another intangible. So there's a lot of things. That's why I say keep it simple and instill your will against the team.
We spent a lot of time talking about this coaching advantage. John Gruden and his staff been together a while, and now Matt Rule and Joe Brady, but they're good coaches.
Yes.
And John Gruden's been talking about that all week. A lot of people are building up this coaching matchup. How do you see it?
Well, I mean, because the Raiders have had a coaching staff pretty much in place, that's where you give them advantage. I think overall the Raiders are a better team. Look, I know they've got 32 young people. The Raiders have got 32 young men, either first-time players or rookies on the Raiders squad. Carolina has 30. So when you look at the intangibles there, it's kind of even. But because this offense has been together a lot more over the past 3 years, I give the Raiders that advantage. Now, the biggest question mark is going to be the defense. You know, you want to get Teddy Bridgewater as an experienced quarterback who's had success in the National Football League, but he's all a new team. Joe Brady is a new offensive coordinator, even though he did call plays for LSU's championship team. So we'll see how all these play out. It's important for the Raiders to get off to a good start, JT.
I think it's really important. There's going to be different game plans for different teams.
Certainly.
Going up against Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, obviously Drew Brees for the home opener. But this is a game, Lincoln. I think they can move the pile.
Yes.
This is an outstanding offensive line. Maybe they could run it all day long and make Carolina try to stop the run.
Well, if that's the case, then you really put the pressure on the other side of the ball. If the Raiders are able to run the ball successfully, get touchdowns, you put the pressure on Carolina's offense, and who knows what that intangible is. You know, Teddy Bridgewater, as we said, with Joe Brady, new offensive coordinator, new players in set. They also gave up a lot of sacks last year. This offensive line has been riddled. So this is a great sort of, it's not a preseason game, it's a regular season game, but a great warm-up for the rest of the season that's coming.
Well, it's a big one. They're all big ones, and the Raiders open up at Carolina. Coming up next, one of the most connected NFL reporters and insiders, Steve Wyche, joins us from NFL Network as we continue with Talk of the Nation.
Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Cox Business, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders. Coors Light, an official beer of Raider Nation, made to chill. By San Manuel Casino, official Southern California casino of Allegiant Stadium.
Carr, good protection, and he completes it. And staying at his feet is Renfrow. Hunter Renfrow, all the way. 65 yards, his first NFL touchdown.
By Modelo, setting the cold standard for authentic Mexican beer since 1925.
Welcome back to Talk of the Nation. I'm thrilled to welcome in one of the most connected NFL reporters, insiders, and hosts from NFL Network. Steve Wyche joins us. Steve, what do you think? The Las Vegas Raiders, the Raider Nation in Vegas. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. You know, I think it's fantastic. It's clearly a new beginning. I think it sucks that we're in a situation where no fans could go into that beautiful new stadium and really enjoy it. But it's a new day. And, you know, we've seen teams relocate and this and that. Fortunately, this isn't such a far relocation where the folks in the Bay and the establishment they have in the Bay in Los Angeles, they can still get there relatively easily once they're allowed back into the stadium. But we know the Raiders are a nationwide brand, brother. They're going to have the support no matter what. So it's going to be a new dawn and a new day for the Raider Nation.
Steve, this is an interesting matchup for John Gruden going up against Matt Rule. Christian McCaffrey, Derek Carr. There's been a lot of talk about Carr in the offseason. This is his team. He's the starter. He's trying to quiet all of his critics, and he has a big spot right here to open up on the road with a win. Yeah,
I mean, listen, this is a great opportunity to quiet some of those critics out of the gate because, look, Carolina offensively, they're like the Raiders. I mean, no one's talking about them, but they are potentially very scary. They've got game breakers, not just in Christian McCaffrey, but at wide receiver as well. They've got some home run hitters all over the field, but defensively is where, you know, they're totally retooled. I mean, Luke Kuechly, he retires. Julius Pepper's gone. Thomas Davis is gone a couple years ago. That defense, as we knew it, is no longer. So this is an opportunity for the Raiders to go on the road, get the W, and JT, they honestly need to get this W because their next 4 games are just absolutely grisly. At New England, I believe the Saints, Buffalo, and the Chiefs are all on deck. That is a murderer's row. So to get some positivity going out of the gate on the road would be absolutely huge.
Steve, what do you think of Kansas City's win over the Texans, the show of unity before the game? The NFL put a lot of thought into this. Both franchises talked about it, including the star quarterbacks. How'd you see it?
Yeah, that show of unity was player-driven. The NFL marketing machine had nothing to do with that part. So salute to those players for trying to do something positive and to show they're all standing with one another. So I thought that was great. It was a shame there was a smattering of boos in there, that people did not appreciate that. But that is what it is. And then to go see a game like that and see the Chiefs, who just, I mean, now that they've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire to add another toy to that machine, what was absolutely frightening to see for what they could do offensively. But just the overall fact, JT, that we have football back and it opened up the way it did, I think that's a nice deep breath for all of us who are wondering if the NFL is going to be able to pull this off, and we actually have it started on time.
You have a new podcast that's getting a lot of buzz. It just dropped, and you're talking about social justice from your life, bringing it to football, and what everybody's been going through throughout the summer and the past. Tell us about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a social justice podcast. That's just one of the elements of it. But my colleague Jim Trotter and I, who've been, of course, covering the NFL for more than 40 years together, we graduated from the same great Howard University, a historically black college and university, and we were just longtime friends. We launched a podcast last week. It is very NFL-centric. And, again, social justice will be a part of it, but we're also just going to be talking about a lot of things, how the media conducts its business, what's going on in pop culture. But it is going to be 90% driven by what's going on in the NFL. But it's just not another review show or hot take show or this and that. It's going to be deep issues and deep conversations. In our debut episode, we had Washington football coach Ron Rivera on, who spilled his guts about his health, about the investigations going on around the club. Unbelievably interesting takes about the name change and how he never thought that name was offensive until he finally did research. And so Jim and I have got the gravitas to get those types of guests on and to get them to open up. And that's how we think this is going to be a unique podcast in a very crowded podcast space.
Steve, let's wrap this up with one big storyline. I've been talking to you for years about the Raiders, but I love the way you carry yourself and cover this league nationally. Give us one big storyline for the NFL coming into week one.
Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, on the field, we know Tom Brady, the Buccaneers, that's the obvious one. So let's go a little bit non-obvious, and let's go to the team that Tom Brady left, the New England Patriots. We always talk about, was it Brady or Belichick? We're about to find out. And look, the Raiders play the Patriots, I think in week 3 or 4, I think somewhere along that line. And so is Cam Newton back? Does he have enough to succeed? Can Bill Belichick tie things together and compete for another division title without Tom Brady? And how are they going to play with Cam Newton, a mobile quarterback, as opposed to Tom Brady, kind of your traditional drop back guy? A lot of storylines around clearly the best NFL dynasty since we've seen the salary cap era. So I think, of course, that's another fairly obvious but very intriguing storyline coming into the season.
Thanks to Steve Wyche for joining us from NFL Network. When we come back, the iconic voice of the Las Vegas Raiders, Brent Musburger, joins us as we continue on Talk of the Nation.
Big hole, first down, end zone, touchdown, Jacobs, touchdown, Raiders. Would you believe it? The offensive line blows the hole open against that 9-man box, and Jacobs takes it home.
By Coors Light, an official beer of Raider Nation.
Welcome back to Talk of the Nation. It is my honor to welcome in the iconic voice of the Las Vegas Raiders, Brent Musburger. Brent, so great to see you, so great to talk to you. I can't imagine how excited you are to be on this call again.
JT, it's going to be terrific. A whole new setting for our now Las Vegas Raiders. How does that sound, my friend? And let's hope they get off on the right foot, get that first victory against the Carolina Panthers. Then they can take dead aim at Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints in their home opener a week from Monday night.
Brent, you've been coming to this town for years. You know Vegas as good as anybody. Let's touch on how important this is for this community, these new fans in Las Vegas, and especially the global Raider Nation that love the fact that this team's ready to take off.
You know, JT, I always thought it was important for the Raiders to come to Las Vegas because it's going to give the city a real identity, something to grab hold of. But you know, since we have been through this horrific pandemic, I think it's even more important. This is going to be a rallying cry for everybody. I know it's a disappointment that fans are not going to be allowed in the stands this year, but they have got a game to look forward to every week, except for the bye week, obviously. But they can rally around the Raiders just as they have rallied around the Vegas Golden Knights in the National Hockey League. It meant so much to the community. coming out of that shooting disaster on the Strip. And now the same thing can happen with the Raiders as we come out of this pandemic.
Brent, let's get to the matchup. This is a fascinating game because everybody's been talking about Matt Rule and Joe Brady, their first games together as a head coach and an offensive coordinator, and John Gruden has stability. This is Carr's third year in the system with Coach Gruden and Coach Gruden's staff and the experience they have. How do you see that matchup?
That's a big advantage for the Raiders. I think we saw that on opening night when the Kansas City Chiefs exploded offensively against the Houston Texans. Yes, the Texans have the same head coach, but they changed all their coordinators coming into that game. It's a communication business. Now listen, Coach Rule is a quality coach. I hope that everybody realizes what kind of a fantastic job he did at Baylor and before that up at Temple. Give him 3 or 4 years, and I believe he'll put the show on the road at Carolina. However, it's game one. He's got 4 rookies starting on defense, almost unheard of. Panthers could not stop the run at all a year ago. And guess what? There's no Luke Kuechly in the middle of that defense. So Josh Jacobs should have a huge day against the Panthers in this opener. But advantage for John Gruden. They've got stability. They know how to deal with each other on game day. Listen, when the bullets start flying in the National Football League, you haven't got a lot of time to make decisions. It's got to be ready. You've got to be instantaneous in what you're going to do. That gives Derek Carr, you mentioned third year in the John Gruden system, and this offense an advantage. However, let us point out defensively is where the Raiders must improve this year. They gave up 33 passing touchdowns last year. That was the 4th worst in the NFL. They must slow McCaffrey down. He is the best dual purpose back, in my opinion, in the NFL right now.
Brent, I want to get your opinions on Thursday night. Kansas City opened up. They're 1-0. They looked exciting on offense. Again, they're in the division with the Raiders. Your impression on the NFL opening up on Thursday night and Kansas City getting out of the gate quickly?
Same old, same old. They've scored more than 30 points 5 straight games. If you go back to the Super Bowl and the demonstration they put on in the AFC playoffs, you're going to have to count on 30-some points to beat the Chiefs. And let's remember, the Raiders were held to 9 and 10 points a year ago in those 2 games. John Gruden has not beaten Andy Reid and the Chiefs since his return to the Raiders sideline. That has to be the target. You have to show up and you have to be able to outscore Patrick Mahomes and that tremendous offense that added the running back from LSU, Hilaire. He had a 100-yard night and a touchdown. They are going to be a load going forward. You have to rate them as the class, not just of the AFC West, JT, but also, as far as I'm concerned, the AFC. They are still ahead of the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, Brent, the Raider Nation's excited as football's back. What are one of your big storylines of the entire year? You have a national presence. This is a big year for Roger Goodell and the league. Give me one big storyline you're keeping an eye on.
Well, the 2 new stadiums, one in Los Angeles hosting the Rams and the Chargers, and the one here in Las Vegas. How will they be welcomed by the league? What will the television networks think of the picture? I have been in Allegiant. I have been in our radio booth. Let me tell you, that is a spectacular setting, okay? But the number one storyline, unfortunately, JT, for the entire league is how they handle the pandemic, okay? Yes, they were shuttered down. The teams did a great job of getting through training camp. But now half the league is on the road every week. They're coming back. I know they're sequestering them in hotel rooms, not letting them out socially, but let's see if we can keep the pandemic under control. Starting the season is one thing for the NFL, but JT, the key is to finish it.
Thank you, Brent. When I come back, we'll wrap it up with the great Lincoln Kennedy right here on Talk of the Nation. Welcome back to Talk of the Nation. And before we get to the mailbag, we just had on Brent Musburger. How thrilled are you to work with that icon, all the great events that he's called?
Well, just like Gruden in D.C., year 3 for me and Brent is a great time. We have such a great synergy with one another. I'm looking forward to seeing, and it's going to be interesting. It will be an interesting year. Without the energy of the fans in the Allegiant Stadium, we're going to see how it goes, but I'm looking forward to it.
Let's get to the mailbag, and we'll begin. What was the biggest move of the offseason for the Silver and Black, Lincoln?
I think it was the addressing of the linebacker core, because that had been an overall weakness for this defense for quite some time. Kwiatkowski and Littleton had great adds, and it would be interesting to see how it all comes together, because with this young secondary, only a year experience with Mullen, really, Eric Harris obviously is a veteran, but doesn't have a whole lot of experience at corner. It's going to be a lot of stress on that secondary. This linebacker core has really got to help out.
I think it was critical, Lincoln. They finally had to go get a linebacker.
Yes.
They had to get a couple of linebackers who could tackle in space. I mean, this was a priority. I can't remember the last time they had two guys who could stay on the field the entire time and tackle in space.
Well, and the great thing, the thing, just like quarterbacks, there's not a lot of good middle linebackers that are roaming around. So the fact that they were able to get two in one free agency offseason was a real testament to Mayock and Gruden.
All right, Lincoln, next question in the mailbag. Who steps up now that Tyrell Williams is out? Who's that player?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Ruggs and Edwards, obviously, but it's kind of unfair to put pressure like that on rookies. So Darren Waller, Hunter Renfrow, the normal cast, I think it has to come down to running the ball. I want to see how they use Jacobs out of the backfield, how they make that transition and complement, much like Christian McCaffrey with the Carolina Panthers, being able to catch out of the backfield and run between the tackles. I'm interested to see how that all unfolds.
I'm a big Waller guy, as you know.
Of course.
You got to line him up on the outside. He's going to make plays. He had 90 receptions last year, 3 touchdowns. I'm expecting his numbers to go up significantly.
And I'm also expecting a lot out of that 3 tight end package. If you think about it, Witten, Foster Moreau, and Darren Waller, what you can do running as well as passing the ball. Now, Derek Carr is a quarterback that can make every throw on the football field. And you have a great opportunity to show run and be able to pass out of that with those 3 tight end sets. I think that could be a big advantage for the Raiders.
What a year we have in store for you on Talk of the Nation. For Lincoln Kennedy, I'm JT the Brick. We'll see you back here next week as we get you ready for the first ever game in Las Vegas for the Raiders as they take on Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints.
Allegiant, the official airline of the Las Vegas Raiders. Coca-Cola, the official soft drink of the Las Vegas Raiders. This has been brought to you by Credit One Bank, the official card of the Raiders. Cox Business, proud partner of the Las Vegas Raiders.